We're in the middle of chapter 3. Sort of early in it, but still. Can't refresh. Fine. The life I lived really was beginning to suffocate me. I couldn't go out freely. I always had to make arrangements with Shion before going to work. I thought my life would improve after escaping from the school, but in reality, it wasn't that easy. It's not healthy to live like this for too long. Without any friends to hang out with, I felt like I was hibernating. I started to feel the dangers of falling into boredom. All I could think of now was Satoshi Hojo-kun's face. I'd only met him briefly, but my encounter with him had a great impact on my new life. I felt like something exciting was going to happen. Really, I was hyped up like a little kid. The more I thought about it, I realized I had been thinking about him a lot lately. This might be a crush. I felt a little ridiculous idolizing him in such a romantic way, though. Then, out of the blue, I got a chance to see him again. Oh? I saw a familiar face at twilight in the park. He was sitting on the swing. He looked like he was zoning out, maybe deep in thought. He didn't notice me, even though I was right in front of him. I reminded myself to speak and act before talking to him. Hey, what are you doing here? Shion. You surprised me. You don't look surprised. I've been standing here for a couple of minutes now. Didn't you notice me? Have you? Sorry, I didn't. He smiled self-derisively, shrugged. He looked depressed, like something was troubling him. Is something bugging you? You can talk to me if you want. Maybe I can help. No, that's okay. Come on, I owe you one from before, Satoshi-kun. Or maybe you don't think this old man can be of any help? Don't you know how mighty I am? I'm okay. You don't have to help me. Huh. What is it then? Are you saying that you don't need help from a girl? Thinking him unfair, I puffed up my cheeks in a sulky gesture. Satoshi-kun noticed that and smiled. No, Shion. It's just, I messed up my swing when they needed me the most. I mentally rifled through all the information about Satoshi-kun that Sis had given me. He doesn't look like much of an athlete, but apparently Satoshi-kun belongs to a junior baseball team. They're called the Hinamizawa Fighters. I doubt he's very skilled, since I didn't hear much about his contributions to the team. Maybe that's why he doesn't tell many people that he's a member. Given how down he felt as a result of messing up, though, he must be fairly dedicated. I deduced all that from what Sis told me, carefully chose my words so as to sound like her. What? Are you feeling down just because of that? Hey, it's not that easy to get over, Mio. I pat his back while chuckling. Satoshi-kun would probably call me insensitive. I knew I should listen to him rather than trying to cheer him up. Acting like Sis was probably the wrong thing to do in this case, but I had no choice. This was just how she'd react in this situation. Instead of feeling down, you should practice even harder and aim for your chance, you know? Practice makes perfect here. Well, if you want to beat the opposing pitcher so badly, you're willing to pull some tricks, then I might be able to help you in a few ways. There's no point if I cheat. Satoshi-kun hung his head after letting his regrets out with a big sigh. Surrender, defeat, resignation were all visible in that gesture of his. Are you quick to give up, or persistent? If you're a man, then don't you want to be a star and have your 15 minutes of fame? Satoshi-kun grinned and said, yes. Of course, that'd be wonderful. That's not why I play baseball. I just have fun batting and throwing the ball. You can understand that, right? This old man isn't sure. I only love games that I can win. I don't understand how you can love something when you can't be the best at it. That really sounds like you, Neon. Having realized I'd been trying to make him feel better, he laughed along. He didn't look depressed anymore. I guess he was just feeling down because of the game. He wasn't as depressed as I thought. Maybe I just jumped to conclusions when I saw him sitting alone in the park. You always put forth your best effort to win. That's admirable, I think. Yeah, it definitely is. He smiled gently and stood up. Then he started stroking my head. All of a sudden. I totally wasn't prepared for that. Eh? What? I thought this when he did this last time, but how could he stroke somebody's head so easily? I felt like I had turned into a little kid. Memories from kindergarten came to mind. My face must have been red. I felt embarrassed, but also like I was in heaven. Sachiko-kun stroked me as though petting a cat. I was blushing with my eyes closed. I felt helpless, like a girl being treated by the dentist with her mouth open and her eyes shut. Sachiko-kun didn't seem to notice my feelings at all. He didn't seem to care. I hate him. With my eyes still closed, I waited for him to finish. He suddenly withdrew his hand. I need to get going. My aunt wants some stuff, so I have to go grocery shopping. Okay. My voice faltered. I was so embarrassed. I'm going shopping, too. What? You are? I thought the maids did all your household stuff. Shoot, I messed up. In the main Sonozaki house, the maids do everything. Therefore, Mion hardly goes grocery shopping, and she's bragged to some people about that. I should have known better. Still, it wouldn't be too hard to find an excuse. I just happened to be in town, so I thought I'd help out with the household stuff. Is that a problem? That doesn't sound like you. You always avoid doing boring stuff like that. You talk too much. Oh, stop stroking my head. Sachiko-kun seemed to be having fun with how embarrassed I get when he petted me. Anyway, I managed to talk my way out of it. He didn't seem to really care about the details. While walking with Sachiko-kun in the shopping district of Kamiishiki, it suddenly occurred to me. Why had I messed up? I had known Mion would never go grocery shopping. What an amateurish mistake. Did I make that mistake when I was pretending to be Mion? No. I was probably speaking as Shion. I couldn't keep lying to myself. I had to just admit. It was simply because I wanted to spend as much time as possible with Sachiko. It was easy to see why I was so attracted to him. I found something intriguing in my boring life, and I didn't have to feel tense because he thought I was somebody else, etc., etc. His easygoing nature made him fun to be around, and his habit of petting people on the head was fun too. From these symptoms, I could tell I was embracing the feeling of love. I was just casually enjoying that feeling. It wasn't that I fell in love with him. I was just having fun. I could simply spend some fun time with Sachiko without having to think too much. Which one is broccoli? The green one? Or the yellow one? That's cauliflower, Sachiko. Hey, could it be that you can't tell lettuce from cabbage either? I'm not that bad. I'm doing my best here. I mean, isn't it easier to tell colors apart versus the leaves or whatnot apart? Lettuce and cabbages are pretty close, finally. Sachiko-kun stared at the heaps of broccoli and cauliflower. After thinking for a while, he reached out for the wrong one. That's not it. Watching you shop is like being on a roller coaster. It's a lot of fun for me, though. You got me. Sachiko can't tell the difference either. Which is broccoli and which one's cauliflower? You guys are too funny. Sister told me that Satsuki was Satsuki. Got the time. Was a flaky big brother to his nagging little sister. I hadn't met Satsuko, but she must be having a tough time dealing with Satsuki. He stumbles over everything he buys, after all. That's cooking salt. It's mixed with pepper. It's different from regular salt. Oh, is it? I think I saw salt and pepper separate in a science experiment once. Stop making excuses and just put it back on the shelf. This is normal salt. What are you getting next? Sunset mode. Okay, this is loading. You're being a great help, Neil. You look smart, but you have serious issues. I think you should study more. That's a little harsh. There. Is this it? In it goes. Ah, that's not it. Don't just throw anything in the basket. Check the price and how many servings it is first. My first impression of Satoshi-kun was that he was strong and reliable. But the more I spoke to him, the more surprised I was at how clumsy and unreliable he was. How do I put it? It was hard to leave him alone. He was dangerous on his own. If he wasn't careful, he might start wondering, do you cross the street when the light is red? Or was it green? And get himself run over by a dump truck. Get a second. Sweat drop. Your total is 1780 yen. Do you have a member's card? Huh? Oh, yes. For a second, like, dang, that's cheap. Now I have to remember this is set in the 80s, so it's not that cheap. I do. Huh? Where is it? Oh, sorry. We can't seem to find it, so we'll be alright for today. I finished checking out, ignoring Satoshi-kun as he fished through his wallet full of receipts. That was horrible, Leon. You made me waste points. Don't go slowly fishing through your wallet to look for your member's card in the middle of the evening shopping rush. There was a huge line behind us. Didn't you notice all the evil glares from all the old ladies? Listen, at times like that, you should get it out before reaching the register. Oh, right. That's good to know. Not only when you go shopping, the same thing goes for when you ride a bus. Satoshi-kun, I bet you don't open your wallet and start looking for change until you're about to get off and have to pay while holding up everyone behind you. No, everyone walks by me and pays their own fare. You know what that means? You're being a super huge bother to everyone. You need to have the money out beforehand. That's just good manners. Do you get it? Okay. You're scary today, Mion. Satoshi-kun smiled as if patronizingly. I couldn't believe it. He was definitely the type who made women want to protect him. Sure, he was fine as he was when he had a busybody like me around him, but I couldn't stop worrying whether he was able to function in society without someone like that nearby. We got plastic bags and sorted out what we bought. Satoshi-kun put a packed tofu at the bottom of the bag. I slapped his hand and put it in a milk carton instead. Okay, there we go. Now your aunt won't freak out when she opens the shopping bag in her kitchen. Thanks. You helped me a lot. I don't think I'm very good at shopping. Just shopping? That's definitely not the only thing. Just kidding. I'd realized a few things while I was spending time with him today. He's not just bad at shopping, he's also chronically clumsy. In general, you could call him a slow thinker. That meant, when he stepped into the quarrel with the punks, he must have needed a lot of courage. He might be a simpleton, but he's not stupid. He's aware of his weaknesses. So he must have been aware of the danger in that situation. He could have chosen to walk away even though I was in trouble, but he chose to be a man and stepped in. That was really admirable of him. Good boy. You did a great job. There. What is it? Don't stroke my head. I'm awarding you for shopping successfully today. There. You're making fun of me, aren't you, Leon? No, I'm not. Can you go home by yourself? Do you know how to get there? You are making fun of me. Satoshi-kun's silky face flushed red. It's just too cute. Right back. Cat's being a booger. At that point, I caught a glimpse of a billboard from the corner of my eye. Piano lessons, fall XX, abacus class, junior baseball team, members wanted. It was a posting for the team Sachi-kun belonged to. It showed the day, time, and place of their next practice. By then, I knew just how flaky he was. I figured he must be just the same when playing baseball. Sachi-kun realized I was reading the posting. He looked uncomfortable and walked away. I know what you're thinking. I hope you won't come to see me playing baseball, Shion. Am I right? Ah. What does that mumbling mean? I know I'm right. Sachi-kun became quiet after mumbling something. It seemed like he couldn't say anything back since I had been right on the money. Sachi-kun, you're just too cute. I don't think going silent is a good way to dodge the issue. Well, that might have just been the way innocent people like him would react in a situation like that. See you, Sachi-kun. It's getting dark, so be careful on your way home. Back. Seems the cat will have to be removed soon. Aren't you going home, Mio? To Hinamizawa? I have to make a stop somewhere first. Don't worry about me. I'll help you this time. In return. I'm okay. What are you going to help me with anyway? You should learn to support yourself before you try to help me. You're really mean today. You seem to have some pride at least. He looked a bit upset because he was being teased by a girl. But in contrast, I felt very satisfied. As a result, I forgot to keep my guard up. Thanks for the help. That was sweet of you. Well, While wearing a bright smile, Sachi-kun suddenly started stroking my head again. I know he's teasing me, but I can't reject him. He keeps doing it only because he's realized I won't resist. Oh. See you, Mion. You should go home before it gets dark. See you in school tomorrow. Yeah. See you in school tomorrow, too. In fact, I wouldn't see him tomorrow at all. It felt awkward, but I had to settle for that. I had to thank Sis for letting me use her name. After I separated from him, I found myself giddy and wishing to see him again as soon as possible. I wanted to know more about him. I couldn't wait for my next chance to see him. Actually, maybe there was something I could do. Just like when I obtained my freedom from St. Lucia's, I could choose how to live my life. Whatever, it wasn't that complicated. I just wanted to tease him more. I wanted him to stroke my head more. And, whatever. I already knew the schedule for his baseball team. Let me go remove the cat real quick. Wait, the chapter's already done again? That was chapter 3, wasn't it? My aunt finally stopped her hysterical screaming. Today was just like any other day. I can't remember what set her off. Whatever it was, she changed subjects constantly anyway. It didn't matter. She went on past midnight again. The urge to sleep was pounding the back of my head. Once Satsuko had been able to relax, she fell down on the spot and started sleeping, still clinging to my sleeve. I carried Satsuko to the bedroom and laid out our futons. Here, Satsuko, your futon's ready, so get in, okay? Satsuko crawled in like a worm. She stopped moving when she was inside. I wished I could go to bed too, but I couldn't. My aunt asked me to do some chores. I had to get toothpaste after school tomorrow. I had to write it down somewhere. I had to make rice for lunch tomorrow. I set the timer. Right, I also had to repile the towels in the bathroom. That was the reason for today's scolding. My aunt will get mad if everything isn't done the way she wants. Oh, and there was something else. I was working at the grocery store the next day. They wanted me to bring an apron. Do we even have an apron in this house? I'd never seen one. My aunt will be sleeping when I go to school, so I won't have time to ask her. What should I do? Since Mion helped me get that job, I don't want to screw it up. In that case, why don't I ask Mion about it at school? She might lend me one. Was there anything else? I was envious of Satsuko, because she got to go to bed. It was pathetic that I felt that way. Bed. Instead of a cat, I have a dog on my lap. Hey there. How are you guys doing in the heat? Oh, Mion-san. We're doing good. Is that our refreshment? Thanks a bunch. You're such a great manager. I just felt like coming here. I didn't bring this for you, by the way. Don't treat me as your manager without my permission, please. We'd be a stronger team if you were our manager, Mion. Why don't you apply? As manager, I mean. Satsuko smiled at me in a carefree manner. I didn't want to become their manager. It'd be tiresome. I've been coming every week, though, since I'm a quasi-manager already. Well, if I feel like it. Anyway, how's Satsuko doing, coach? Is his batting average improving? Yes, he's doing fine. His batting average is, well, if you buy 3 packs of rice crackers at 7 Smart. Does that mean it's 30%? Wow. You're doing great, Satsuko. It's not just about the number. I have to be able to hit the ball when it really counts. It's good that you're aware of your weaknesses, Satsuko. You just continue working on them for now. Irie signaled to the pitcher, who then threw the ball. Satsuko looked calm, following the ball with his eyes. Then he swung. The ball flew between the first and second bases and landed in the distance. Wow, that's great. Good job, Satsuko. I clapped and Satsuko blushed in response. He repositioned his helmet to hide his face. Well, he's good in practice and when the game is slow. Irie smiled compassionately. It seemed that Satsuko really couldn't perform well when it counted. While he was usually good, when everybody expected him to perform, he couldn't. I didn't think it was because of nervousness. He just couldn't do it. I think it's a perfect fit for Satsuko's character. He seems calm at first glance, but he's actually slow. Numerically speaking, you're a great player. But you need to be able to hit the ball even when things get serious. That's why you were an easy out in the match with the Jaguars the other day. Shut up, I know that. If he'd been able to hit the ball then, he would have been a hero. What a shame. A hit could have put the offense into the lead, or at least given them an extension. That was when Satsuko came up to bat. Irie wanted him to live up to everybody's expectations, but statistically, that wasn't likely to happen. Yet Irie insisted on giving him a chance, in spite of the fact that all the team members had suggested a pinch hitter. It would have been perfect if you could have hit it. Why didn't you? Why can't you hit the ball in a situation where it really matters? There was nothing I could do. I know I'm weak in a situation like that. I thought a pinch hitter was a better idea too. It's not about the match, it's about you, Satsuko. You need to be more aggressive. Shouldn't you have thought the opposite way? Shouldn't you have insisted that you'd come up to bat no matter what everybody else said? Can't believe you wanted to give away the chance to some pinch hitter. Why are you so weak like that? That's why I'm always telling him. I know that's one of his good points too, but you can be a gentleman at other times, but when playing games, you should be a demon. I think all men should have those two sides to them. You need to let your demon out, Satoshi-kun. You're native to Hinamizawa, so never forget that you have the demon's blood running through your veins. Are you listening? Satoshi-kun? I am. I'm not sure, but what aren't you sure about? We're talking about you. So, whoa. Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head. He looked delayed for some reason. A blush immediately spread across my face. I didn't know how to respond. You're giving me advice, right? Thanks. I'll do my best. Hey, don't you try to fool me. I'm not. I'm just happy that you care about me. I couldn't resist his hand. I couldn't help mumbling like he does. Satoshi-kun ran back to the field, leaving me red as a beet. Do you feel good when you have your head stroked? Depends. If it were you, I'd have to teach you a new martial arts technique. Ah, what a shame. Alright, everyone gather around. Why don't you split into groups and have a practice match? The Hinamizawa fighters are sort of a lazy team. The members gather simply to enjoy playing baseball, not to fight for victory. The Okunomiya Titans use this field too. They practice on a different day of the week. They always train hard using dumbbells and stuff. Our team split into two groups and started a match, retaining their loose atmosphere. I'll keep track of the score. Coach, do you have a pencil? Thanks for helping out. Here. I took the pencil and the clipboard. I didn't know how to differentiate between recording hits and errors at first, but by now I was used to it. Show me what you got, Satoshi-kun. Oh, maybe it'll be too much pressure if I cheer for you too excessively. Just do okay then. That doesn't sound very encouraging either. Do your best. Time passed slowly that Sunday. Huge white clouds appeared in the sky. They made me feel healthy. Humans are born to be active under the sun. One of the parents was acting as umpire today, so Irie sat on the bench with me. He shouted words of encouragement to the kids while they ran to their positions. And the other baseball coach would constantly berate them, but he was much more generous, like a kindergarten teacher. He let the kids have fun while watching over them. To other baseball players, it might look a little naive. I'm surprised you guys can do well with only a small amount of practice. Kids in Hinamizawa romp around every day, so the amount of exercise they get surpasses that of the city kids. Besides, too much training is not always effective. Wow, you think completely differently from the Okunomiya Titans. I can understand why their coach hates you. It's not about being right. Matches exist for someone to win after all. So prioritizing victory certainly isn't wrong. I think it's admirable to aim for victory together. But the goal of our team doesn't happen to be victory, that's all. The Hinamizawa Fighters and the Okunomiya Titans have been rivals for a long time. Both teams shared the same baseball field, for one thing. And originally there was only one team, but the people living in Hinamizawa left and made their own. Anyhow, we were rivals. The Okunomiya Titans were strictly about winning, and the Hinamizawa Fighters were just about having fun. Surprisingly, our scores weren't that different. Which meant our team had something they didn't. Even though I couldn't put it into words, I knew what made that happen. Hey, Team 1, no slacking. You can make up the 2-point difference pretty easily. Team 2, no slacking either. Still, some parents would criticize our coach for being too lenient. But still, others would strongly agree with him. Which side would I take? The latter? I couldn't really say for sure. The reason for this was that Irie had an obnoxious habit of sexual harassment. In particular, he had a fascination with maids, but I should talk about that some other time. Satoshi-kun let the ball pass twice to see its trajectory, then hit it on the third pitch and ran to first base. Oh, he did it. He's so good when he's relaxed. In the beginning, he used to get tired very easily. He's improved quite a lot since then. He really does look kind of like a bookworm. I wonder why he started playing baseball in the first place. All the other kids who joined the baseball team loved baseball. They'd go out to play in the fields outside of practice. That's why they all had an aptitude for it. But Sis never said that Satoshi-kun exercises intensively in school or anywhere else. He only likes to read. That's why I didn't understand why he started playing for this team to begin with. Ahaha, that's because I invited him. Is that so? You recruited him? Did you notice some sort of hidden talent? Excuse me, can I have a cup of barley tea? Ah, thank you. Eri asked for tea in a suspicious manner. While he constantly joked around, I knew he was actually a very mature person. I assumed he was trying to evade my question. Is there a particular reason? Eri pretended he didn't hear me, but I pressed him on it. In response, he shrugged and began answering the question. I think you might be able to guess. What would be Mio and Sonozaki's guess? I quickly searched through the data I had on Satoshi-kun. I came up with Satoshi-kun's family circumstances. He lost his parents in an accident a year ago. Since then, he's been having a tough time at his uncle's home. So you invited him so that he could vent? Sports are great. You can free yourself through exercise. I thought that as long as he concentrated on something else, he could forget about his troubles at home. He's usually sort of a daydreamer, zoning out all the time. Is he still stressed? I knew Satoshi-kun must be suffering even though he didn't look like it. But Mio and Sonozaki never pays attention to things like that, and I had to act like she does. Satoshi-kun got really sick after his uncle took him into his custody. He had many clinical symptoms, but the causes were unknown. Satoshi-kun often got sick after he was taken into his uncle's custody. He suffered from fatigue and migraines. He suffered from a lack of energy and sleeplessness. The coach, Dr. Irie, soon realized Satoshi-kun was suffering from a psychological disorder. Most of the people in Hinamizawa knew how bad Satoshi-kun's environment was. It was natural for him to become sick, because he entered that bad environment right after his parents' deaths. Hojo-san cannot express himself freely. Whether it's crying or simply being agitated, he's not good at handling those emotions. That's true. I can't imagine him being angry or crying. Did you know Hojo-san's mother had been married a few times already? Yeah, I know a little bit about that. Satoshi-kun's mother had married a number of men over the years. That meant Satoshi-kun had several stepfathers. He had to deal with strangers coming into his home multiple times, so he was forced to be mature. Satoshi-kun is mentally underdeveloped. He isn't aware of it himself, though. He didn't have enough time to cry, laugh, and throw tantrums in his childhood. He was forced to become a grown-up in just a short time. That doesn't sound right. Children have to behave like children in order to grow. There's nothing positive about being forced to become an adult. Not only was Satsuko's current relationship with her aunt conspicuously terrible, I heard that her relationships with her previous stepfathers weren't good either. Satsuko always caused problems, and Satoshi-kun would always step in to protect her. Yeah, I thought his physical symptoms came from the stress. His body was trying to warn him. That's why Iri invited Satoshi onto the baseball team. He told Satoshi that he needed a new member, or something like that. He hesitated at first, but after I talked to him at the clinic a few times, he began to open up to me. First, I invited him to come see the practice. Then I suggested he try batting. I eased him into it. Sports worked excellently for Satoshi-kun. His health quickly improved, and he started to become interested in baseball. He practiced batting. He was soon able to swing beautifully. He learned how to see the trajectory of the ball. I can imagine that. He likes to read, so he must have read a book titled How to Play Baseball or something like that. He's become a good batter very quickly. He's put forth a lot of effort. Though I wish he could actually hit when it comes down to a wire, too. Are you guys close? I think so. He talks to me about his problems, so I guess that's a sign of trust. I felt a bit jealous of how confidently Yuri said that. While Sachiko and I were friends, we weren't so close that we'd open up to each other like that. Oh, are you jealous? Huh? About what? Taken aback, I blushed. Yuri started laughing at me. Please stay as his good friend. Oh, well, yeah. I'm trying. I didn't know what I was saying. You know, regarding Hojo-san, he seems a little sick again lately. What? Thwack. The ball flew to the left. I keep yawning over and over, jeez. Maybe I didn't get much sleep last night, but the left fielder managed to catch it. It seems that the relationship between Satsuko and her aunt had gotten worse lately. It was obvious his sickness had something to do with that. Their aunt is bullying Satsuko-chan in a terrible way. She's become worn out after all that. And so, Sashikun is also worn out from covering for Satsuko, isn't he? I wasn't interested in Satsuko, so I switched the subject back to Sashikun. I didn't know much about Satsuko. I knew that she was a big part of Sashikun's life, but I'd never been interested in her until today. She must have been building up self-esteem and taking care of her unreliable brother. That was all I knew about her. Get some water, hopefully that gets rid of some of the yawning. But Sashikun, considering Sashikun's personality, even that goofiness of his might have been an act. Maybe he was trying to make her feel good about herself by letting her take care of him, if only unconsciously. When he's alone, he's surprisingly strong. I realized that only recently, so I couldn't help but think that his whole life is constantly affected by Satsuko. Sashikun managed to get along with his stepfathers even though he experienced some stress. He was even getting along with his aunt. But in order to protect Satsuko, he always had to step in and suffer. I didn't really know anything about Satsuko, but I had to admit, I felt hostile to her. I felt jealous because she was monopolizing. It seems that their aunt has been tyrannizing Satsuko even more lately. That must be what's causing Satsuko's sickness. Harry heaved a sigh. As he said, Satsuko had been absent a few times lately. He seemed a bit tired, too. He looked normal when around everybody else, but he looked a bit depressed when he was alone. So you invited him to join the team to relieve his stress, didn't you? Yes, that's right. But he looks stressed again now. How can we save him this time? I don't know. Harry smiled powerlessly. I couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed about that, because Sachiko puts his trust in him. Just between you and me, Sachiko recently told me that he wanted to leave the team. Yeah? How come? He claimed he was tired of it. That's what he said. But I believe he actually wants to spend more time with Sachiko-chan. He thinks that Sachiko-chan might end up being tortured while he's at practice. I think he's concerned about that. I was left speechless for a while. Sachiko again. Sachiko. Why did Sachiko have to sacrifice so much for her? Just by ignoring her, his stress would melt away. Of course, I knew he couldn't do that. If that were the case, then the blame lay with his little sister. I knew how badly she'd been treated. That only happened because she made things worse for herself. It was her fault that she couldn't establish a decent relationship with their aunt. If Sachiko were more mature like Sachiko, her home life wouldn't have gotten so bad. Sachi-kun wouldn't have to suffer those indirect blows. Yeah, just be a broken adult just like Sachi-kun. In the meantime, the baseball team's practice match had become one-sided. It wasn't even worth watching anymore. The members of the losing team were just goofing off. The sky had turned cloudy, too. It was depressing. It didn't look like it had rained soon, though. The gray sky hadn't brought along any cool air. It just felt disgusting. Irie became quiet. He was looking down around his feet. I, meanwhile, just stared at Sachiko. To me, he didn't look activating. He was once able to enjoy playing baseball, and he felt fine. But he got sick again, just because the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had deteriorated. I couldn't help but say it. Shouldn't we do something about his aunt instead? Is the real answer, but Satoko instead? It was just a murmur, but Irie had definitely caught it. What do you mean, Sozaki-san? It's not that complicated. If Satoko were stronger, Sachiko wouldn't have to deal with stress. I think Satoko is the cause of everything. Hmm. I don't know about that. Yes, you do. If she didn't cause any trouble, he wouldn't have to step in, would he? He wouldn't have to take over in the fight between Satoko and her aunt, right? Sachiko never got scared of any trouble. No matter how formidable the enemy, he'd bravely stand up to protect the weak. I knew that because I could vividly imagine it. Whenever their aunt chides Satoko, Sachiko steps in to protect her. The aunt probably didn't like it. Though Sachiko didn't have to fight, the aunt would attack him anyway. The fight would then be between the aunt and him. Satoko might then tease the aunt by sticking out her tongue, hiding behind his back, and pretending to be scared. She'd never think about how deeply he was being hurt. Because of Satoko, Sachiko had become cornered and stressed. I'm surprised to hear this from you, Sonozaki-san. I thought you were Satoko-chan's friend, classmate, a big sister kind of figure. I thought you'd always be on her side, but what you said is surprising me. Irie looked at me suspiciously. I could tell what he was thinking about me. I had said too much. Mion Sonozaki and Satoko Hojo are friends. They're close, so Mion should have been encouraging her after the situation at home got tougher. That's what Mion was supposed to do. I had totally forgotten about that, spoken as myself. It's only natural that Irie would give me a suspicious look. He might end up changing his impression of Mion Sonozaki entirely. I'd have to apologize to her about this, and ask her to put things right. I totally messed up. Even so, I didn't think I'd said anything wrong. I'd objectively looked at the situation and made a modest proposal. To be honest, I was simply afraid that he might leave the team. I couldn't go to the school in Himizuwa, so the baseball field was the only place where I could see him. I could even say that he was my reason for living. That's right, I was in love with him. But I wasn't going to tell him how I felt, for I was satisfied just by being at his side. I certainly couldn't ask for anything more. After all, I couldn't reveal my true identity. I had to pretend to be Mion in order to live it. I thought that maybe I should leave Okinawa in order to be free. But that's stupid. No matter how tough my life might be, I'd prefer to be here, with Sachiko stroking my head every now and then. Why did I love him that much? I read about it in some manga once. You don't need a reason to be in love. I was surprised at myself for being like this. Calm down, Shion. I breathed out slowly, then held my breath, trying to slow my throbbing heart. I felt a bit calmer. At that point, a clear thought came into my head. I want to be with Sachiko. So? I want him to stay on the team. So? I want to get rid of his concerns and his stress. So what? So, what can I do to achieve all that? My head started to cool down as I heard the umpire shout, "Game set! And match!" Some days I see him, some days I don't. A clear sky gets cloudy, and rain will always stop eventually. I thought his absence was just like that, but it was actually on the verge of a breakdown. Notebook, page 19. The rainy season was just around the corner, and the air had become so humid that my shirt stuck to my skin. It had been a few weeks since Sachikun stopped showing up for baseball practice. I looked for him as soon as I arrived at the field. He's not here yet. Did I get here too early? I want to see him playing in the field right when I get here. I had started arriving late because of those feelings. However, he wasn't here today either. I didn't even bother hiding my disappointment anymore. Everybody knew by now how I felt. Team members from Mion's class came over to try and console me, but I shooed them away. What's going on, Sonozaki-san? Are you feeling sick? Even Irie couldn't comfort me. I was aware that he too knew why I was like this. I'm going home. I don't feel like watching you practice today. Look, we're having a meeting with the Okinomiya Titans later. I wanted you to be there because you're our manager. Don't treat me like a manager. I never agreed to be one. Irie looked down, not knowing what to say. All right. Please help us again when you feel like it. Maybe I won't be coming back. I won't be coming back. If you really need a manager, look for somebody else. Please do come again, whenever you feel like it. Sachikun will be sad if you're not here when he comes back. I ignored him and turned around. I had already set up my schedule with Mion, so I didn't have to ask her every time anymore. I had tried to contact her a couple of times to ask how Sachikun was doing in school, but I hadn't been able to get through to her. Apparently the hag had sensed that I might be in contact with Sis. In other words, Sis was being watched. As a result, it hasn't been easy to contact her. Kasai, who had been helping me contact her, seemed to also have been marked. People knew he was loyal to me. I hadn't seen him for a while either. All I could do was wonder how Sachikun was doing. I was frustrated because there was no way for me to know. My head was filled with worries. But something surprised me out of the blue. Somebody called out to me when I was about to leave the field on my bike. Michan, hello. I'd never seen this girl before. Luckily, she called me Michan. There's only one person who refers to Mion that way, as far as I know. Rena, I'm surprised to see you here. Her name is Reina Ryugu. Her real name is Reina, but she wants to be called Rena. So that's what we call her. She moved here in April. I had some information on her, but it was all ambiguous. Sis was still a bit uncertain about her, since she's so new. It was hard for me to handle someone like that. I didn't know how to act around her, as Mion, so I decided to pretend to be in an obvious sulky mood. That way she wouldn't talk to me as much, assuming that Mion was simply feeling bad. Well, that's how I really am anyway. Are you going home, Michan? Yeah, I'm not feeling well. Sorry. Let's go together then. I wanted to say that I'd rather be alone, but there's only one road to Hinamizawa. So asking to be alone would look odd. The only way to not seem suspicious would be to walk home with her. Yeah, let's go. Rena quietly nodded. I unlocked my bike. Michan, do you have an umbrella? Nope. It might rain soon, so let's hurry a bit since you don't have one. As she predicted, we were attacked by pouring rain on our way. We ended up taking shelter in a small shack in front of a bus stop. It's pouring, but it doesn't look like it's going to last long since the sky over there is clear. Yeah. I heard the sound of rain pattering on the rooftop and the raindrops jumping into puddles. It sounded loud, but it made me feel strangely calm. I zoned out for a moment. Then Rena talked to me while looking up at the rainy sky. I was worried about you, because you looked so down. All the baseball team members knew I was depressed because I hadn't seen Sachikun recently. Most of them attended the school in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't surprising that she knew as well. I hadn't been able to contact Sis these past few weeks. But I was sure she had an idea of how I feel about Sachi-kun, and how it would feel if he didn't come to his baseball practice. Sis would probably be pretending to act a little depressed during her day-to-day in Hinamizawa, to avoid creating a big gap between our moods. But neither of us knew the details about the other right now, so she wouldn't be able to answer if others asked her what was wrong. She'd only be able to say, "Leave me alone." That might lead more people to become worried. Rena must have thought Mion was depressed. That must be why she came all the way to see me. She must know she must know what was going on, because she knew I was at the baseball field. Do you feel lonely because Sachikun is avoiding us? Having deduced what had been going on with Sachikun from what she just said, he'd been distancing himself from others because of exhaustion. That's what it sounded like, at least. He looked like he was very worried about Sasuke-chan. I think he's really on edge. I feel bad for him. He really cares about his sister. He has a lot of courage. What I had said sounded hollow, as I knew too well how much of a burden Sasuke had become. But I think you'd feel even worse if you also looked that depressed, I think. I don't want that. I know. But if you really don't, then you need to smile for him. Otherwise, he might really feel cornered. I know you're strong. You can smile even if it's just pretend. So I want you to smile no matter what. You know that lies can become true sometimes. What she was saying, in a nutshell, was this. Both Sachiko and Sachiko were totally wiped out. If Mion was also depressed, even though she's the sort of person who usually lightens the mood, their situation would be stuck in a vicious cycle. Ren sounded more like she was trying to give me advice than trying to console me. She must be more mature than she looks. Sis told me that she was a funny girl with a few bad habits, but she seemed to have another, very mature side to her. Do you love Sachi-kun? Yeah. Though I shouldn't have told her that. I immediately responded. In that case, why don't you smile? Rana smiled herself. I believe Sachi-kun will feel better if he sees your smile. I know you feel powerless now, but your smile will give him strength. I know what you're saying, but it's not that easy. Rena giggled and nodded. He'll come back after he's done with his part-time job. His part-time job? I almost asked that question, but I managed to stop myself. From the tone of Rena's voice, it sounded like it was something everyone knew. His part-time job, huh? I wonder when it'll end. Until he has enough money, I guess. But he'll finish by Sasuke-chan's birthday at the latest. I tried to figure out what was going on from what she said. I had to listen very carefully to uncover the whole picture. Sachiko seemed to be working in order to make some money. I don't think it's easy to find a job when you're still in school. Sis might have had something to do with it. His job only seemed temporary, and it seemed to have something to do with Satsuko's birthday. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. Sachi was working hard and saving up to buy his little sister something expensive for her birthday. He was trying to comfort her, even though he was so torn up himself. Satsuko again. Sachi-kun was already worn out because of her. He was now working for her sake, even though he was exhausted. It was stupid. It would be easier for him to just forget about Satsuko. I was startled when I realized Rena was looking straight into my eyes. She was smiling, but her eyes looked creepy. I never voiced what I was thinking, but she was looking at me as though she figured out that I was blaming Satsuko. She beamed when she noticed my fear. She smiled as though she understood that I thought that way because of love. She was giving me the creeps. I could hear thunder roar in the distance. The rain began to pick up. Do you feel jealous of Sachiko-chan because she monopolized the Sachi-kun? I avoided answering immediately this time. But Rena seemed to know what I was thinking already. I wouldn't be upset even if you did. That's just how it is when you're in love. Thanks. You've been encouraging Sachiko-chan despite that. That's admirable. Of course I have. She's my friend. I sounded so fake. I felt like spitting on the floor. All we can do is encourage Satoko-chan and Satsuki-kun. I don't know how to save them from their situation. Satsuko is relying on Satsuki-kun way too much. If she were stronger, he wouldn't have to suffer in her place. You sound really straightforward. Rana nodded with an unflinching smile, even though my remarks could be taken as harsh. What was this mysterious girl thinking? It was difficult to get a read on her. Maybe Satsuki-kun feels that way a little too. Huh? Rana kept smiling, but her smile looked strangely cold. I think he's tired of protecting Satoko-chan, and he's aware of that. Given the type of person Rena is, I don't think she'd say something if she wasn't certain of it. Because of that, she must have been confident in what she just told me. Why do you think that? He said so. What? Satsuki-kun secretly confessed to her. Rena asked me to keep it that way. Satsuki-kun told me that he felt tired of protecting Satoko-chan. He was feeling guilty, though. I don't think he would say something like that. But, however, it wasn't likely that Rena was lying. I had just met her, so I didn't know what made me feel that way. But my hunch told me that she was telling the truth. I heaved a huge sigh. Satsuki must have gotten so tired that he couldn't help telling someone. Even so, even if he thought that way, he wouldn't tell somebody so easily. Maybe Rena had led him to do so. She might be capable of doing something like that. Now I understand this girl. It had only been a little while since we'd met, but I had already started talking about something I was keeping deep inside of me. Does she have some kind of supernatural power to reach into people's minds and drag out what they're thinking? It suddenly hit me that I was sitting with this creepy girl in a tiny shack. I had been dragged into her strange world. I don't think Sis has realized Rena's real personality. She thinks Rena is just a funny girl with some strange habits. She would have told me if she knew. I guess Satsuki-kun must trust you a lot if he confessed that to you. I'm a little jealous. It's not because he trusts me. I think it's because I've experienced the same thing. What? Did you also have to cover for your siblings once? Those footsteps always followed me. They even came to my bedside and looked down at me. Sorry, Rena. What are you talking about? I turned around to face her. It got the chills. Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze, with my eyes open. Have you experienced anything like that? I guess not. Probably. Rena kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to figure out what she was saying. Have you ever thought of leaving Hinamizawa? Moving to a big city? Have you ever thought of doing something like that? I didn't know how to respond. Rena waited for my answer, urging me to speak with her silence. No. I love it here. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? I knew that. It didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Rena has some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds just by seeing the slightest change in their expressions. So I had to tell her the truth. You'll be okay, if that's true. Oyashiro-sama won't get mad at you. Oyashiro-sama? Oyashiro-sama. That's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment. That's right. Oyashiro-sama. She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama never allows the villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the dismemberment murder and the death of the Hojo couple. When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall into the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, to Okunumi to be precise. But it should be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Higurashi. The hag forces me to live this suffocating life, but I still chose to stay in this place. I don't believe I'm breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I came back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me, but I think I'm still afraid of it. I love this place, so I don't think I qualify for Oyashiro-sama's curse. You can even call me a model villager. Yes, I think so too, but I'm not sure about Sachiko. Why? Sachiko wants to leave Higurashi and run far away, even if only unconsciously. I gave an inaudible cry. I was feeling sad that Sachiko hadn't shown up for practice. He still lived in Higurashi, so I'd never even considered the thought of him going away. Are you saying that he wants to skip town? Yes. He's not aware of it himself, though. He probably didn't notice it until Oyashiro-sama stood by his bed. I still had no idea what she was talking about. I continued trying to figure out what she was saying. Everything he's going through is a sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. You feel like someone is watching you from a distance, and it follows you. Then it watches from right behind you. After that, you start hearing an extra footstep. It only happens outside at first, but you start hearing it even inside your house after a while. Then, Oyashiro-sama keeps watching you even when you're sleeping in the dark, right by your side, waiting silently, for you to admit your sin. Sachiko told me he was having nightmares at first, so I asked him what kind of dreams he was having. And those dreams he was having, as it turned out, were just like mine. I warned him that the presence would become bigger. He'd hear an extra footstep, and feel the presence watching him in his sleep. I told him to come to me if that ever happened. He must have been suspicious at first, but just as I predicted, he started to feel Oyashiro-sama's presence more strongly. He finally realized he could talk to me about it. Rena didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. I could only feel stunned. I'm from Higurashi originally, but I moved to Ibaraki Prefecture right before I went to elementary school. However, when I couldn't adjust to my new environment, Oyashiro-sama frequently started telling me to return to him in my head. But I couldn't do anything since I was just a little kid. I was forced to live there, though I felt threatened by Oyashiro-sama's voice. Then, Rena paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into the details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more. Anyway, I was able to come back here in the end. Oyashiro-sama forgave me. I haven't felt his presence anymore since then. Sachiko's being subjected to the curse even when he's in Izawa. Why? There can only be one reason. It's because he wishes to abandon me. Oyashiro-sama won't allow that. After a series of inner monologues, he confessed. You know he's working part-time, don't you? The teddy bear he's getting for Sachiko-chan costs about 100,000 yen, and he's trying to get the money by her birthday. Have you noticed it yet? Think about it like this. If he had that amount of money, that'd be enough for him to run away somewhere far from here. He unconsciously started to think about that, about leaving Sachiko-chan behind. But he'd feel very guilty. As you point out, Sachiko-chan is a burden on him. He's not stupid, so he's aware of that. He just doesn't want to admit it because he's the one who's supposed to protect his little sister. He's been struggling with himself. He thinks he's working to please Sachiko-chan on her birthday, but he also feels that he might be deceiving himself because he unceremoniously wants to skip town with that money. I don't think he should run away. Even if he did, he'd regret it for the rest of his life. Oyashiro-sama knows that. That's why Oyashiro-sama is trying to warn him. I hope Satsuki-kun stops thinking about abandoning Satsuko-chan. He's working hard to make it to Satsuko-chan's birthday, which is a couple of days after the Watanabe Festival. He's pushing himself too hard. He believes it'll end when Satsuko-chan's birthday comes. The curse keeps cautioning him, while he tries to figure out whether he should leave or continue protecting her. The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pouring down on the galvanized iron roof, producing a lot of loud noise. Yet in the shack, it fell completely silent. What the hell was Rena talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I had figured out is that Sasaki was struggling, confused, and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oyashiro-sama's curse? And Rena has experienced that before? The Watanabe Festival was right around the corner. Oyashiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. There was no guarantee that it wouldn't strike a fourth time. Sachikun was subject to Oyashiro-sama's curse even now. Was he going to skip town? Was going to be the next victim of Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. And I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Rena told me. But if something really was happening to Sachikun, which might bring about some kind of an end, I couldn't help feeling scared. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion, despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but she had to listen to me. Sis, what's going on with Sachikun? He looks really stressed out. I can't even talk to him. What do you mean? You don't know what's going on because you can't talk to him? Sorry. Sis, give me another chance to trade spots again. That's fine. I'm kind of busy lately attending meetings for the festival. What are you planning to do? Another part-time job? I'm going to your school. I'm like nodding off sitting here while reading. And that's another chapter ended. Jeez. At least I think it is. Let's read these tips. I'm going to check the chapter number at the end. Why don't I relate to my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Wait. Relate. Her name is Rena Ryugu. Her real first name is Reina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain, she has no relation to the Sonozaki family. She has no relation to the three families as a whole either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinamizo, but then they moved to Ibaraki. That was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinamizo some years later. Rena Ryugu said she came back because Oyashiro-sama told her to. I don't know what that means. She said it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that Oyashiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Sachikun had been interested in that experience. She said that Sachikun was also experiencing Oyashiro-sama's curse. Sachikun told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Rena had the same experience before. What is Oyashiro-sama's curse? Why did Rena and Sachikun have a similar experience? I believe that means that somebody put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Rena and Sachikun both blindly believed in Oyashiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oyashiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing paranormal phenomena. Judging from what Rena said, it seems that Sachikun had been put on surveillance since long before Watanabe. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Rena? I'm assuming that this surveillance was placed on a victim-to-be of that year. If so, I don't understand why Rena went through it. Why did they watch her, even though she was living so far away? If she was considered somebody who abandoned the village, I could understand. But she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to humans. I guess she still knows something I don't. And page 24. Sachiko looked terrible. When he went home, he had to mediate a fight between Sachiko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day, became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He either slept on his desk or was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. That curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Sachiko that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Sachiko's aunt had also been watched. Did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victims of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove the curse in Sachiko was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance? Paranoia? Or really the curse? Now let's go to the next chapter and find out what chapter we're actually on. And so she goes to school. Yes, we get that. Oh, it doesn't say the chapter end anymore. We go back to the main menu then and check my chapter number there. Number's there. Wait. There's no chapter select, is there? There isn't. So there's not really an actual chapter count in here. But there are some, what are they called? Steam achievements. Jeez, why is my Steam getting so tiny? I don't want this. I want to go to the library. Higurashi. There's 6 more locked achievements. I think. Oh, there's a lot more. Broke out of prison, reunited with a relative, went shopping, heard a story about him. So I guess it's only chapter 4. I'm 25% in. I guess? I don't know. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more chapters. Out of 4, that means there's only 14. Okay. Oh, I'm like nodding off here, so I'm going to stop here for today. I'm sorry. I'm finishing up Alan Wake American Nightmare on Tuesday at 7 p.m. You have a good rest of your day and evening. Bye bye.